Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Coaching Youth Hoops Podcast.
They're playing basketball.
Basketball. Here's our hosts, Steve Collins. And Bill Flitter.
Processing them.
All right, here we go. Welcome to Coaching Youth Hoops. Coach and I were talking there, and I hit the record button maybe when Coach was talking. But you know what? This is just real. We're not editing that out in any world.
Yeah, we do very little edits. We do.
Well, why would we? We're just talking hoops.
It's
like yes, we're not machines, and I was just
don't
complaining
want to
about
overproduce this because that's
I was
who we are.
talking to him about complaining about my class and how things were going today. And I taught Z-scores today. You know what a Z-score is?
No clue.
You know what the empirical rule is for a normal Okay, so it's along that lines where it's a standard deviation, basically. Okay. There's an infinite number of standard deviations in the world. We can convert them to a Z-score, which is a standard. Anyway, I'm a stats teacher. I geek out and you hear my voice go up when I start talking about it. It's pretty sad. It's very sad. Who am I going to talk to about when I retire in a couple of years? Anyway, so how do you bring out energy and effort in your players? So it's similar. We were just talking about how do you bring energy out in my students? So that's similar. Yeah.
Well, this is a topic that I chose because I wanted to dive into the research behind it. Can you teach or coach, in our case, energy and effort? I hear a lot of times, I can coach you X's and O's, but I can't coach energy and effort, right?
Right.
And there's some truth to that, but I think we can bring it out and we can create a place for it to exist. As I was looking through, of course, you talk about energy and effort, and who's a great coach, John Wooden. Right. He talks about this idea of revealing that, that person who wants to bring out the energy and effort, kind of paraphrasing some of the things he said, but it can be developed, right? It's having the growth mindset. After doing the research, I think as coaches, we can definitely bring out and reveal the energy and effort. There definitely falls a lot of the responsibility falls onto the players when it comes to this topic, though. Your thoughts? And then I'll get into why and how, how you do it. But what are your initial thoughts on that? And what do you tell your players? I mean, what's your message on energy and effort? You're on mute.
I was muted there. It's an expectation. You are what you demand, so you can't demand everything. So it's one of the noise, talking, energy, effort is something that I just think we demand, and we try to build that culture of that. And if you do that from the start, Now, at the youth level, I think a lot of that energy and effort is going to come from games, is going to be coming from competition, is going to be come from having fun. Finding those couple players that can maybe emulate that to you a little bit. I think that is one of the keys to being able to get it into a youth practice. It might even be bringing in, and I've done this at the youth level when I was coaching my son. I brought in my laptop and I said, and I showed them some clips of energy and what does energy look like. It's diving on the floor, it's giving high fives, and as soon as I brought out like some Bucks and it was Golden State at that time and whatever, it's like, look at what they're doing. Can we do that? And a fifth grader sees that and it's like, oh, I can do that. I can give high fives. I can be chatty. I can dive on the floor. So they want to do it. They just don't know what to do. And that's our job. And, maybe it's TikToks now. It wasn't TikToks back when I was coaching my son. But it's finding some of those things, I think.
Well, I think you bring up a really good point is we have to define it. We can't just say you need to bring energy and effort. What the heck does that mean to a youth player? And I think you nailed it. Define it. Energy and effort. Hustle plays. What is a hustle play? I'm diving on the floor for loose balls. Maybe I'm boxing out and pushing, right? Some underneath the hoop. It's those little bit of extra things. I'm sprinting right back and forth up the court. So, I think one, define it, set the expectations of what define what hustle is. Also, though, coach, again, go back to last week's podcast or the last podcast when we talked about who we are as coaches and some of the coaching advice we got. We have to lead by example. We talked about both of us are energetic at our practices. That was one of our words that describe us, right? So we have to show and emulate energy and effort as well.
Right. And I tell you, I have to work on it even more so than when I was 35, sure. Especially after teaching it. I mean, I could take a nap.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So part of it is I try to, and again, this is different youth level, but for me, I try to find young coaches that can kind of help me bring that along. But for the youth coaches, it's like, yes, you got to, like, even if you're only practicing an hour, you got to be able to bring it.
You can manufacture that for that hour, right?
Right. Yeah. It's the clapping. It's the nice job. It's those high fives. It's all that, I think. You can manufacture it. Clapping and being loud and talking can manufacture energy and effort. It really can. It's been proven scientifically.
Right.
I'll do that in my class. Sometimes I'll just start clapping and then other kids will start clapping and then other kids will start clapping. You just feel the energy in the room come up. It's crazy. It's like being in a rock concert. There's a reason rock stars go to do like that because people are screaming. Yeah. There's an energy level, right? We've all experienced that. So energy is easier than effort, in my opinion, to build that energy. The effort is, I don't think they don't always know what effort looks like. What does average effort look like versus exceptional effort look like? And that's where we have to kind of show them some of those things, especially the youth level.
Well, and so just kind of recapping the things: set clear expectations, lead by example, make it a habit, praise and reinforce, right? So as coaches, we can praise the effort that we expect from a player. Maybe it is, again, that loose ball type of situation, or for us, we're looking at, we call them pinch and tips. We're looking for tipping the ball when we're playing defense, right?
Right.
What else? Also, though, I think that go on the effort part is making sure we're incorporating conditioning. Right? You're going to show a little bit more energy, right? If you're conditioned and you can stay last an entire basketball game. What else? Challenging. I think this is a big one. Challenging their comfort levels.
What does that look like for you?
So, I look at my players and I know who is comfortable. Take a simple example: driving to the hoop or not, right? And so, I challenge, I praise, or if I recognize someone taking even one dribble towards the hoop, and then 2 dribbles, and then 3 dribbles, right? And then really like, hey, I think you can do X more, right? Whatever that X is. Like, for example, again, we might do a team challenge of number of rebounds in a game, or number of the pinch and tips I just talked about. Playing up a level sometimes, right? That's another thing. Again, it depends on the type, if you're doing a tournament team or what have you, but playing up that level, getting them outside of what the normal load, so to speak, that you put on them, right? And progressing that load. And I think, at the end of that hard work, they look back and like, oh, that wasn't so hard, right? We literally do comfort zone challenges that are outside of practice stuff too, right, with my youth team. So we'll go challenge a stranger in a mall that we have outside malls here in California, to karaoke.
Thanks for rubbing that in. Outside malls. Wow,
Okay.
What's that? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
But so we do those little things to push them and make them comfortable being uncomfortable. I think motivation, using stories and examples, which you had talked about, showing them film, what does it look like, right? We talked about the enthusiasm that you can have in practice. Find that energy giver that's on the team as well, and encourage them to encourage the others. Track progress, stats, right? Even in practice, right? So, wow, we achieved something that's going to raise that energy level and that effort level. Oh, you have a drill where you have to hit so many shots in Y number of time, and make it started easy and then progressively get harder, right? Again, that goes back to that, challenging them. And the mood. This is a good one too, right? Effort should not depend on your mood, right?
That's hard.
And
that's hard for
that's
hard for NBA
right.
guys, let alone young kids.
Yeah.
But again, I think that can come a little bit from the coach.
That's correct. Yeah.
Because I just think that is a really hard thing to do, I think, to be able to contain that. All right. Any other closing comments, Coach?
No, that was it. That was a lot. But so at the end of the day, to sum it up, energy and effort, we have to bring it, and we can bring it out in our players through some of the examples that we gave.
Yes. All right. Till next week, Coach.
Till next week.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.